Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Bailey, and for the past 5 years, I've been the CEO of a tech company that I started. On this channel, I explore the relationship between performance and self-care. And in this video, I'm going to answer one of the most common questions I get as a startup founder, and that is, how do you build your team? Not just find a co-founder, find your first employees, but also find your advisors, your mentors, and the investors who are eventually going to fund your company. If you know much about startups, you probably know that having a great team can mean the difference between success and failure. So in this video, I'll walk through the 4 strategies that I've learned to hire a great team. And at the end of the video, I'll share the one mistake I used to make that wasted a ton of my time. The first strategy I depend on when I'm hiring is based on something my mom used to say to me growing up. And what she used to say was, you're always on an interview. When it comes to building a great team, you never know where you're going to meet the people who are going to have a huge impact on your company and your life in general. This idea that you're always on an interview reminds me that in every situation that we walk into, we are interviewing the person we're speaking with, and they're interviewing us in some capacity, even if we're just interviewing each other to be friends. By walking into every environment intentionally and getting to know people deeply in the process, we'll also get a better sense of whether or not someone could be a great co-founder, a teammate, a potential advisor, investor, or even friend. Most of the people that I've hired over the past few years, I didn't meet through a formal hiring process. My co-founder, for example, is somebody that I met in class. And of my first 2 employees, one of them was my TA in a class, and one of them was my debate coach. These were all 3 people who I admired deeply and who had a skill set that I didn't. Looking for diverse skill sets and finding people who can balance out the areas where we have weaknesses is absolutely essential to building a successful team. Okay, now that we know that every interaction is an interview, the second strategy comes into play. It's also something that I learned from a mentor of mine, and what he said is, it's more important to be interested than interesting. Here's why this matters. Knowing that every conversation is an interview doesn't mean the interview is going to go well. One of the best ways to run an interview successfully is to ask great questions of the person that you're speaking with. This idea that it's more important to be interested has also saved me a lot of social anxiety, because it means when I walk into a room and I'm sitting next to someone, maybe they're a stranger, I know that instead of focusing on being interesting myself, I can focus all of my energy on being curious about the person sitting next to me. And the benefit of this as far as team building is twofold. One, by being really interested and curious about everybody that you meet, you're able to get to know them better, and getting to know them better will make it clear if they could be a good fit to work with in the future. And also, by asking them a lot of questions and making them feel seen, they will probably be much more interested in working with you as well. So this idea makes it easier for you to get to know them, and it makes them more likely to want to work with you. Another thing you can do to get people excited about the idea of working with you is to find something to be excited about, and of course, to share it with them. Now again, this doesn't mean that you're necessarily sharing your brilliant startup idea, because at this stage in your life, you might not even know what it is. But by continuing to develop and invest in the things that we're excited about, we become magnetic in social situations. People love spending time with people that are excited about something. I know for me, anytime I'm in a conversation with someone who's telling me something that they're really excited about, whether or not it's one of my interests, it's always really fun to hear them get excited about it. And we can do the same thing for others. As an example, I met our first few investors while I was in college, years before I'd come up with the idea that eventually became my company. Most of these people were instructors of mine, and they started because I expressed a lot of interest in the things they were teaching. I shared the things that I was excited about, and I continued to connect with them periodically over time. I had no idea that these people would eventually become my investors. But by investing in those relationships, getting to know them, and letting them get to know me, we built a natural foundation that made working together an obvious choice. Once you have this kind of connection with someone, this is where the 4th strategy comes into play. and that is to always ask for some kind of follow-up. This doesn't mean that you have to book it in each other's calendars right away, but if you really connect with someone, asking them if they would consider reconnecting with you sometime in the future can already do a lot to build your relationship. And then by actually following up and reconnecting with them in the future, you demonstrate that you're the kind of person who follows through on things. And that's a quality that everybody is looking for in an interview, whether they know it or not. When I met my co-founder, I actually didn't follow up with him after talking about the company that I wanted to start. We'd been in a class together over the summer, and we reconnected at an event on campus. From our class, I knew that he was an engineer, and I knew that he was someone that I'd probably love to work with. So when we reconnected at an event, I asked him what year he was, and when he said that he was a junior and 2 years away from graduating, I was pretty disappointed because I was looking for a co-founder to start a company with me in the next few months. But when I shared my idea with him, he asked if we could meet up for coffee and talk about it a little bit further. And what he said was maybe he'd be willing to drop out. At the time, I thought that was crazy, and so I didn't actually follow up. Instead, like a week later, he followed up with me. And he basically said, "Hey, don't you want to get together to tell me a little bit about your company?" I figured it couldn't hurt, and so we met for coffee. During this meeting, he decided that he wanted to drop out of school and start this company with me, which was not even in the realm of possibility to me a week earlier. Looking back, I am so grateful that he followed up with me, because if neither of us had followed up with each other, we would have missed an opportunity to be co-founders and do something really important together. I share this story to say that you never really know who you're talking to or what your relationship could potentially look like. And this is why being really intentional in these interactions can have such a positive impact on your ability to build a great team and hire great people. Now, besides not following up with my potential co-founder, there is one big mistake I've made that has wasted a lot of my time. That mistake is settling for a situation or relationship instead of trusting my gut and my intuition. Sometimes if you're looking to fill a role, it can be really easy to choose someone based on convenience, even if there are a ton of red flags and your gut says no way. I've ignored my intuition in the past and decided to hire someone because the fit was good enough. But when it comes to our companies and to our lives, we're not looking for good enough. We're looking for incredible. So instead of waiting till the last minute, if you can always be interviewing, connecting with people, and getting them excited about what you're working on, then it's only a matter of time before you work on something amazing together. Whether that's your company, a project, your life in general, or a relationship. These 4 strategies will help you to create that incredible team, and that incredible team will create the success that you all deserve. If you have any other questions about building a team, let me know in the comments. And until next time, I'm rooting for you and you're doing a great job. Thanks so much for watching.